on.
Whoa.
Hold on. Sorry, we usually start off with some level of laughter.
That one was good.
We're always.
I liked it.
And Josh isn't even here.
No, I know this is old school.
It's like old school, just you and me today.
We're rolling it back.
We're bringing sexy back.
Yeah.
I just had somebody who came up to me yesterday and they're like, "Hey, so I watched podcasts. I haven't watched for a while. And you guys are pastors?" like you
That's like the best compliment that you tell me that you receive sometimes.
I do. It is.
Yeah.
And they were, because they were talking about how we were laughing, like, and then
Pastors can't laugh.
And I said that I'm like, are pastors not allowed to laugh?
Jason, welcome to Pocket Theology.
Anybody who knows me
Today we
well,
are going to discuss sound doctrine.
do you want to hear something funny? When I was in high school, this is a legitimate critique from somebody.
Okay.
I had a girl in high school when I was in high school who said she hated me because I was too happy.
She
She literally said, she goes, "You are too happy and I hate you." And she wasn't joking.
I want to ask her how she's doing.
Yeah. She also, this is the same. Dude, I have such weird stories. Who's Laura Fever, Kyle's wife, was telling me, she's like, "You have the oddest stories." I'm like, well, I had an odd life.
You've also lived in multiple places and just have got to
Different
experience
cultures.
a lot of different cultures. Yeah.
So I opened the door for this, I'm not going to say her. Well, she's not even Cindy. She's not watching. She doesn't even probably know I exist anymore.
She's going to find this episode.
She's going to find this episode, right? So I opened the door for her, right?
Okay.
Just because we were going into class together.
A kind thing to
She
do.
turned around and slapped me
Okay.
and said, "How dare you open the door for me?" And I was like,
So this is actually kind of strange, though, that you mentioned this.
"Did you get slapped recently?"
No.
Okay.
But
I almost wore my hat today.
Did you?
I almost wore it.
As when I
today.
put it on today, I actually thought
You should have texted me. We could have been hat buddies.
could have been hat buddies. So I find it's interesting that you say that because there's this kind of culture that's like been purveying that's like, don't help me. I don't need your help.
But this was in 1991.
Okay. So it's not
Like
old,
this.
it's not new then, I guess.
No, but yeah, you're right.
I noticed some people get really uncomfortable when you try to do that.
Yeah, I don't like opening doors because then I get stuck being the permanent bellboy who just is holding the door for everybody as they're.
Just hold out
Have
a
you ever
bucket.
had that?
Just hold out a bucket.
You ever had that, like where you open the door for somebody and then a whole slew of people just?
Nope.
and
I
you're
only
just
I only
stuck
grant
there?
access to the first person and I slam it shut.
That's good. That's good. It's interesting. Because I think you're right. I think there is a culture right now within some people, certain people groups, that, okay, so I'm going to say I see two sides of it. I see one side that wants help from everybody,
Yes.
and wants no responsibility. It's everybody. It's the government's job. It's the church's job. It's everybody's job to take care of them, except theirs. And then you have the other side, which is like, how dare you think that I could, even opening a door, like they get super offended as if you somehow think they're incapable of opening a door, and it's not. Because I'll open a door for anybody. It's not like I'm just looking for women going, "Oh, there's a woman, she can't open her door," right? This isn't chivalry. It's just being a kind person.
It's a nice thing to do.
It's a nice thing to do. And then you've probably had this as well, where you open the door and then the other person comes in and there's two doors.
Yes.
And then they open the door for you. So there's like a reciprocity.
No, it always typically kind of plays out like this. They do the half open the door for you. So you do the full. You like, welcome. But then they do the walk through, but kind of like hold it open as they're like,
Oh yeah.
through,
Or
you know
they'll
what I'm
even
talking
the
about?
foothold.
Yeah.
The foothold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you're like, do I say thank you? Thanks, man.
Oh my gosh. So dude, okay, the original plan was Pastor Drew Shep was going to be on podcast today, but he couldn't make it down. So he'll be at sermon read through. Gosh, man. I know, we're crying.
No, dude, seriously, what a cool guy.
Super
Love
excited to have Drew preaching this week. And then Josh is gone.
Yep.
Do you know what Josh is doing?
Josh is currently helping his students with a play, right?
For the entire week. Now, do you know how his school handles theater?
They did it. He said this was new this year, that he asked that they would have an entire week dedicated to like basically theater camp.
During school. So the kids get off of class only in small town anywhere. Like if you went into a big city and said, "Hey, we're going to cancel school
for theater."
So theater can do. So literally he's there all week.
So what's the show they're doing? I forgot.
I think it's Shrek.
No, they did Shrek last year.
I think it's again.
No, because his son Ezra played.
I know. I think it might be the same.
I don't think it is.
I think it might be. We should call.
We're gonna have to.
We should. You should.
I'll send him a text.
Let's text him. I think it's Shrek.
This is what the people of Pocket Theology really want to know.
This is what. Oh, by the way, next week, stay tuned. We actually have some questions that came in from the crew at YFC.
Ooh, I saw that. Yeah, Katie Tarr and all that.
Yeah, well, no, it's Tarr. Katie Tarr.
Okay,
yeah. So I met with their leadership Tuesday.
Okay.
And basically it was over Zoom, and they just had like, how would you answer some questions for youth? And immediately, like, I'm doing it, and as I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, I'm talking to adults. Okay, if I'm talking to adults, it's hard for me to talk to them like they're youth because I see adults.
Sure. But you're talking to adults in the frame in which they're going to communicate to youth.
Yes, and so, bless you. And so they then had they had some really good conversation. At one point, I'm like, okay, I got to remember, I need to answer this because you're trying to answer youth.
Yes. That's that's a double lens, man.
Well, and for me, okay, when I see a kid, it's like baby talking. I could not baby talk an adult.
Sure.
Even if I want, I can't do it. Like my face just, I literally can't do it. But I see a kid and I'm like, immediately, right? So when I'm with kids, I talk differently just because I see their faces. My brain just does a switch. But they apparently had some really good conversation afterwards.
Dude, that's awesome.
And so Katie included me in on the questions, and I said, hey, well, we'll answer it in Pocket Theology, but I want to get Josh and Kyle.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were really good questions.
Yeah, I looked through a couple of them. They seemed nice.
And I shared the idea of Hot Pocket Theology with her, and she's like, I would watch that.
I think it needs to happen.
It does. So
stay tuned. Maybe we'll do it after Easter.
Here's what I'm thinking we do. Okay, so Hot Pocket Theology. Because we got to have Hot Pockets.
Yep.
So we're going to make Hot Pockets. We're going to have different sauces.
Okay.
And originally I was like, okay, what we should do is like the harder the question, the hotter the hot sauce. But that's how do you distinguish what's a hard question?
Sure.
Depending on the person, right?
Yeah.
So instead I was thinking what we would do is we would have a question, you pull a question out.
Yep.
And then you have to pull out the hot sauce.
Oh, so you could end up getting the hottest one for your first one? Oh, no.
So like literally you do like a mixed bag of stuff and you pull it out and then they have to dip it and they have to...
Is the person who's doing the dipping and the eating is the one who's answering the question? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
we'll definitely have to preview the questions so we can at least all have a gauge of where we're trying to go.
No real time.
But what if it's like something I can't, like, I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna take the bite of the hottest sauce I've ever had in my entire life, and it's like, tell me how to
explain the Trinity and
as simply as you can.
How did Basil Gregory?
Tell me, or it has nothing to do with any context I've ever grown up in. So like, tell me how the purity movement of the early '90s.
That's exactly why it's funny.
No way. I grew up small town Catholic, so we kind of like hit that.
Is that different than big town Catholic?
Big town Catholic is different.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, but the reason why I say that is because I kind of felt like I also hit a little bit of that purity movement because we're just a little slow with like moving along. So I can maybe comment on it, but not a lot.
Dude, I read somewhere that Joshua Harris, the guy who kind of launched the purity movement in the 90s, is like re-exploring faith again.
He had stepped away?
Oh, yeah. So here was the big controversy. So he wrote a book called I Kissed Dating Goodbye. Like he was like 19 when he wrote it, right? And churches everywhere picked it up. And true story.
Because it's all about now courting, not dating.
It was
right?
courting, yep. And you weren't allowed to kiss until you married, a little until your wedding day.
Allowed.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Like, can't kiss. Yep. You date God. You court, the whole thing, right? So he got elevated and platformed real quickly because this book went bestseller. Here's this 19-year-old kid, no education, no theology degree, just strong opinions. And everybody's like, yes, this must be true. So he got elevated, immediately kind of shot up. He ended up getting married, wrote a second book. I don't remember I said hello or something. I don't remember what it was called. But because he got platformed, and this is the danger with Christian celebrity, people assumed this guy, he must know theology. He must be really grounded in scripture. No, he just had lots of opinions that were widely accepted around purity. So I don't remember all the details, but he ends up pastoring a church. While he's pastoring a church, he realizes, like, I don't know the Bible well. So he decides to go to school and go to seminary. while in seminary, he encounters individuals who were like, your book ruined my life.
Wow.
Like legitimately people were like, you made promises in the book that I believed because it was in a book that if I did it this way, my marriage would be good. I would be happy. And he started meeting people who were like, my marriage was an absolute failure. And individuals in the LGBTQ community who thought that if they did it his way, they would, they'd somehow be set free and delivered and weren't. And
Wow.
and so that really messed with him.
No kidding.
And then he started running into all these people who were like, your book ruined me.
Gosh, man.
And now here's the thing. And I remember when this happened, it was like 2012.
Okay.
No, 2014, 2015. So after a journey, all of a sudden it came out that he was walking away from faith altogether.
Sure.
And I remember telling a buddy of mine, and again, I don't know Joshua Harris from anybody. I've never met the guy. I don't even know what he looks like now.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to a friend of mine, and I said, here's the thing. His entire gospel was rooted in the purity movement. And when that gospel the undergirdings of that gospel were challenged and shaken, he had nothing to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to an interview with him like 2 or 3 years later, and he got divorced. Wife left him, or they separated. I don't know all the details. So I listened to an interview with him like 2 or 3 years later, and I told my friend, I said, here's what I think happened. I can't say for sure.
Sure.
But I think his entire theology of the gospel was rooted in this movement, and he didn't really have a foundation. And he actually said, he goes, when I started encountering all these, I didn't have a gospel because the gospel was about purity.
Yeah.
And so I just read something, and I don't remember where it was, and I wish I had saved it, but that like he's re-exploring because of everything going on in the world right now. He's realizing the gospel seems to be the only thing that gives some level of hope to things. And I was like, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, the other news that came out, do you remember Carl Lentz?
I know the name.
Okay, so he was the pastor of Hillsong in New York.
Yep.
Justin Bieber, he was Justin Bieber's pastor.
Oh, okay.
Had a massive ministry fall.
Okay.
Was found out he had an ongoing affair with a woman. Hillsong, New York, I don't even think exists anymore.
Wow.
This kind of began the toppling of Hillsong in the United States.
Sure.
So I'm going to give props to Carl. I don't know Carl Lentz from anybody. Again, much like Joshua Harris, I've never met the guy. I've read some of his stuff. I've watched a very gifted teacher, preacher. Well, I'm going to say preacher. But when all this came out, like I've watched several interviews with him where he's been really, in a good way, humble and humbled in the failure of the things that took place. Like I watched one interview with a guy, I think it was Ryan Miller. Is that right?
Okay.
Another podcaster. He's got a video. Really, and actually, I think I know the dude. I think I met him in San Jose.
Well, you're related.
Ago. Yeah, maybe. Because the first time I saw him on the videos on a social media thing, I'm like, I know that cat, and I don't know why. And I think we may have run in similar circles. I think he was in San Jose or somewhere.
That's cool.
But he's blowing up right now. Blow up to Ryan Miller, I think. Again, I think that's his name. But he like literally went right after Carl Lentz, like said some really hard things to him. And this is 5 years ago now that this happened. And Carl Lentz was like, no, I deserve that. Didn't try and skate around it. Literally, it's like, no, I let the celebrity, the fame, I didn't deal with the inner character. I wasn't dealing with stuff. Nope, I deserve any criticism you get. I'm like, man, kudos on you.
Yeah.
But he and his wife, so Lisa just sent me this yesterday. He and his wife are releasing a book.
Okay.
And Carl Lentz made it known that he was never planning on stepping back into ministry. So he doesn't want to be a pastor of a church anymore.
Sure.
But they're writing this book.
Okay.
About how to recover when you have an adulterous relationship and your marriage blows up because of sin.
Yeah.
Right? Which I would say all marriages blow up because of sin. I don't think they just blow up for no reason, right?
Sure.
And Lisa, she texted me, she's like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Right. Yeah, because I have a question for you when you finished up.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I bet you probably have the same question that Lisa did.
Yeah, so he's said he's want to step out of pastoral leadership and leading in that capacity, but as we have just been speaking about with this other book from Kiss Dating Goodbye, you shepherd people through your authorship. You teach them something. You form them somehow, these voices that they hear. And his is both a prominent one from previous teaching accolade and also now the controversy. People are going to pick this up, and then they're going to be taught. Do you think that goes against his original philosophy of not wanting to be in that sphere again?
Do you?
I do.
Say how?
But I think I kind of just did. I think you've personally elected that you don't want to teach and pastor over people, but releasing a book more than likely aimed at a Christian audience, right? You wouldn't use language like sin as the problem in the marriage if you weren't obviously going after that demographic. You're gonna shepherd and you're gonna pastor people, and so I would say I really hope he's taking it with a deep sense of wisdom and responsibility that he is doing that.
Yeah. Now he and his wife are doing the book together.
Right. Even still, yeah. I mean,
yep. So here's where, because Lisa, very similar and understandably, right? It's a very reasonable question. If I was going to write a book about surviving on the other side of cancer,
sure. I see what you're saying.
Right. It's one thing, like if he's actually done the work.
Yes.
And there's really restoration.
Yeah. Oh, then Then he should be a lens that people hear that from. I agree with that.
Right now, if it's just like, well, like if he's just trying to play, and that could be, I don't know the dude's heart. But it's like, when people have asked the song, there are times when there are, as Christians, we're like, well, I can't sing that because this person had these sins in their life when they wrote this song.
Sure.
Mike Guglielmucci. I think we've talked about him before.
I think I'd remember a name like Guglielmucci.
So Mike Guglielmucci, he wrote a song called Healer.
Okay.
2007, 2008. Powerful song. And the reason why it was so powerful is he had cancer. Comes out.
Oh, you've told me this.
Yep. So he comes out he's got the Oxygen Team, lung cancer, right?
Yep.
Goes on Hillsong. They release the song on their album. He comes up, leads in front of everybody. And I believe you're my healer. Well, he's, all these things. He's got the air tube because he's saying he's dying of cancer. Literally, the album gets released.
Okay.
Like a week later, it's discovered that he faked cancer.
That's no good.
And in fact, he faked cancer. He was part of a movement called Planet Shakers. He faked cancer because he actually had a porn addiction that was causing him so much stress that he was losing weight and losing hair. And he didn't want to confess it because of his prominence in the position of things that we're in. He's actually been in some recent podcasts talking about what kind of got him there and the healing process that he's had, right? Now, here's the crazy part. His family all believed he had cancer. His own children thought he had cancer. His parents would be like, hey, we can drive you. Would you want us to come sit with you while you have chemo? No, just drop me off. Literally played it to the hilt. Now, can we sing the song Healer?
This is a question as I've been diving deeper into worship ministry as a whole, is a question I really do wrestle with because
it's a real question.
Separating the art from the artist is a big thing in a lot of spheres, and so I think the Holy Spirit does more than man does in a million ways, in a gajillion infinite ways, and I think what the enemy meant for evil can be turned for good, and not calling him as a person the enemy, but what he was doing was wrong, deeply wrong.
Oh, horribly,
sinful,
gross, evil.
But is it possible that the Holy Spirit was able to awaken healing in people because of this song? Yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to know how I learned about what happened, how this all got uncovered? Because this is the crazy part. So it was the church plant. I had helped plant a church called Harmony with my buddy Garth Heckman. I had left Harmony and started working at Community of Hope with Perry Nielsen as the teaching pastor. And literally like a few weeks after I left, Garth was diagnosed with cancer. So I'm like, their worship leader who I had replace me couldn't be there that weekend. So like, hey, would you be willing to come back and lead worship? I said, sure, I'd love to. So I come back, I do that song as a way just to encourage, because the community's watching as their pastor's battling colon cancer and all kinds of stuff, right? So I finished the song, and one of the lead guitarists comes up to me, a buddy of mine, Jason Gilmore, and he goes, dude, I can't believe you sang that song. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you don't know?
You don't know. Yeah.
And Hillsong literally had to pull all the albums. They just released the CD, pulled all the CDs off the bookshelf, took the song out. So I think there are two things, and I've actually wrestled with this for several years, so I have lots of opinions on this already.
Yeah, because there's a second half to it, which I think is where you're going on why I believe what I believe. So because I don't want to be just so, oh, well, the Holy Spirit can work for good and it's totally okay. Humans still have limitations. We still are people that are limited. And so what your friend had said was, I can't believe you did that song. He was distracted.
Yeah.
His worship was distracted by the fact that there was controversy around this, and someone else might be the same, or they could look it up. Like you've expressed this to me before when I've come up to you and like, hey, what do you think of pastors like Mark Driscoll? You're like, oh, good. Remember, he's kind of got some stuff maybe you want to look out for, but orange tinted glasses maybe, and I go, oh, okay.
Chicken bones.
Yeah, sure. And but also I really like him, and so people are limited. It could be a barrier, and this actually goes almost like ties in our entire conversation in a way to just say like your image, the way you conduct yourself, and ultimately your sin will project how you can give the gospel message and its effectiveness, and how and who and when people can receive it. Because if so-and-so pastor and his wife were releasing this book 5 years ago when everything just happened, I bet you it wouldn't fly off the shelf. Because,
well, first of all, if they did it 5 years ago, literally right after it happened, we would immediately see it for what it was.
Right. Yeah, like a recovery mission or something.
Okay, so why are we okay singing songs from King David?
Right. Yes. Actually, that's a really, really great example. Good question.
And I have a theory why, and I think it's proven. The further something is away from the event, the more you see the thing for what it is, not tied to the person.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I can sing King David. David was a rapist and a murderer.
Yep.
But he was a man after God's own heart. Like, we've romanticized David. And I remember the first time I was listening to a teaching, and they said, can we just stop calling David an adulterer and Bathsheba an adulterer? She was a victim in all of this. And I remember listening to this going, what do you mean?
You've taught on that on a Sunday.
Yeah, my entire life I was taught they committed adultery together. David looked at her, she fell into sin, and then I'm listening to this teaching, and I'm like, I never thought about it this way. Who says no to a king?
Sure.
When the king sees you and says, come to my palace, you do not reject a king lest you get killed. You can't do that. Even today, if the president demands my audience, I don't get to say no thank you, especially if it's for legal matters, right? And so Bathsheba was the victim in all of this. And so there's a lot to that. But the reason why we can sing King David is that was 3,500 years ago.
Yeah.
3,000 years ago. So we're so far removed from it. But I think there's another side of this as well, and that is that when somebody does something before they're a Christian, we are apt to excuse it, because why would they? Of course they're going to do something before they're a Christian.
Can't hold them to a standard they weren't.
But if you do something as a Christian, then immediately it's like, well, why did you do that? And then there are certain sins, and this is where things get really tricky, because I do believe there are sins that disqualify you from ministry. Child abuse. Absolute disqualification from ever being in ministry. Can somebody who's a pedophile serve in a church? Limited capacity.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. And because I believe God redeems. There's no sin that God cannot redeem.
And I don't want to say this so brazenly that it's taken so far out of proportions, but I do just want to say, like, the church has always been and is supposed to be a hospital for the broken.
Yes. And we don't get to determine what's the level of brokenness that Jesus can't redeem.
And why is it like, and that stops them at the door.
Yeah.
No, it might stop them in the house in some areas, but not from getting in the door.
But there are some things that people, I would say, are disqualified from ministry because of safety.
Yep.
So another one that's a really big movement right now, and I totally agree with this. When a pastor has an affair with someone in their church, it is not an affair.
Okay.
because there's a power dynamic.
Oh, you're applying this to the King David thing.
That's right. It's not an affair. So when somebody's like, oh, he had an affair with somebody within his church. No, he was a pastor. He took advantage, even whether it's his own brokenness or not. There was a power dynamic that woman was, or man, depending on,
Sure.
let's not always assume it's the pastor's a man,
Mm-hmm.
but in most cases it is.
Sure.
That the affair is not an affair. It is an abuse of power.
Yeah, because there's a trust that's allotted to the leader.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there, I mean, I've heard story after story of pastors who their own marriages are suffering, and they're counseling with a woman. Why did the woman come to him in the first place? Because he was a pastor.
Yeah.
And so she opened up and felt safe with him, and his own brokenness got in the way, and they started having feelings for each other. Well, that sounds like an affair. No, because she didn't just go to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. She went to her pastor. And so there's immediately, it is not an affair. We have to stop calling it affairs. Now, if it's something outside of the church, which Carl Lentz, to my knowledge, the woman had been to Hillsong but was not a member of Hillsong. She wasn't even a Christian.
Sure.
And so Carl had an affair with this woman, and when it all got exposed, like we started seeing all the cracks in the armor of Hillsong. And I think this is a really good thing because we tend to bolster up. We assume that big means healthy,
Sure. Yep.
and that because a church is large, that it
Hey,
must.
McDonald's is the most popular restaurant in the entire world, and I don't think I could subsist off it.
Well, you could, but
well, and
you're
not well.
And so, like, there's this assumption that if something is big, it must be healthy. And there are a lot of churches that are really big and they're obese.
Yeah.
They're spiritually obese. They are not healthy churches. And just like it, but we also can't assume that small means healthy either, because you can be spiritually anemic, right?
Yep.
And underfed. But I think the question that I would pose, and this goes back to the song Healer, and all of this stuff is interconnected. And I know we've talked about this in the past in other podcasts, but it's...
I'd even say this kind of even plays into our boundaries conversation from last week, slightly.
it does. It does. So here's why I think we can sing the song Healer. And I think this is where things get different between music, art, and story.
Okay.
Music is inspired, written from the perspective of a book which is outside of me, the Bible. So worship songs, a good worship song is always going to be scriptural in nature. Now, it might have some of my own subjective experience with it, which of course, that's the book of Psalms is filled with that, right? When I consider the wonders that you have created, the writers talking about the things they've seen, the stars in the sky, the galaxies, all those things, right?
Yeah.
The reason why you can sing a song, Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Look at most of the songs. If we knew the interpersonal life and the sins of every song ever written, I think there'd only be a handful of songs we'd be allowed or would be comfortable singing.
Sure.
Because this is the art from the artist.
Yep.
Now, here's the difference. It's also why I think guys like Bill Cosby, why can we sing Michael Jackson? Who there's all kinds of stuff about Michael Jackson. I mean, I think there's lots of reasons why Michael Jackson was such a broken person. But we can listen to his music and go, well, that's his music is different than the artist. But Bill Cosby, who gets arrested for violating, raping, drugging multiple women, comedian, his comedy is based on his stories. There's no outside source outside of him, which means that every story has an element of truth. And so when you laugh at it, you're laughing at somebody else's pain.
Sure.
Which is why you can't tell Bill Cosby jokes anymore. You can't do those things because the connection is not, there's not an outside source. There's not something subjective. You're looking at it and going, huh, did that actually happen? Am I laughing at something that actually happened?
Essentially what you're saying is the art has an element that could not function apart from the creator. But there are certain pieces of maybe worship or other art that do not have any sort of like integral connection to them that could... Now, I could enjoy this and not know who the heck so-and-so is.
Because it sounds good, it looks good.
It has nothing like
or
that.
It's connected to something different. So, for instance, why can I sing King David? Well, I can sing King David because all David was doing was writing about God and God's grace and which he needs. I can sing Healer because the song Healer is about the God who heals. it's not about Mike Guglielmucci. All of his brokenness and lying aside, which he's repented of, and he's been on some podcasts where he went on and talked about what got him there and the healing and restoration and counseling that he's had to do. But even outside of that, secular art, like why are we still comfortable singing Michael Jackson songs?
Sure.
And because I think there's an element where we separate the art from the artist.
I also think, not that it's like thousands of years have passed, but you've said it, you were like, once you're further away from something, you can kind of see how it is. I don't think people were using the language, wow, I understand that Michael Jackson really could have had a broken past, and I can maybe empathize a little bit when it was happening. I'm sure people weren't really using that language, but...
they were.
Were they really?
Yeah. No, when I still remember, because you weren't even born yet, when the first trial for Michael Jackson came on and he was accused of pedophile, and he went... there was a whole...
That sounds really good to me. A lot of times I feel like we just quickly villainize people and don't even try to empathize.
No,
so that's why I said that.
There were individuals, like if you know Michael Jackson's background, I mean, the dude never got to grow up, so he's basically a giant child.
Pretty much.
And so one of the things that people would say who were defenders of Michael Jackson is developmentally, yes, he was in an adult body. He in his mind, everything he was doing was innocent. Now, there's no we don't know for sure if he did anything. We know he had inappropriate relationships. Sure. Now, biblically, let's talk about, because I mean, this is a theology podcast. There is a theology around this, because where do we redeem? What is restoration?
What does grace look like?
Is it appropriate for a guy who's had an affair to write a book?
Yeah.
With his wife, saying, hey, let's walk through with other people that are dealing with this. This is why I go back to the cancer conversation.
Sure.
Who better to hear about restoration and redemption than somebody who's experienced restoration and redemption? And I would also say there is a difference between writing a book and being a pastor.
Okay. Yes, I would agree with that.
Because pastoring a flock means you are literally, these people are coming to you. This is a book you can choose to buy or not buy, just like you can choose to go to church or not go to church, right?
Yep.
But who better if he's actually done the work? Now, that's time will tell.
Yeah.
If this is just a ploy to get money.
Or if it's like you're reading it and it's like, this is just, I'm listening to your therapy. I think that would be the other thing I'd be concerned about.
And there's, I think people will see through that. But what I understand, and my wife showed me the post on it, and she was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I'm like, well, I think sometimes the best way we can learn from something is from those who've done it, but it depends on how the book is written. What's the wife's voice? Is it excusing sin, or is it really like, no, if you don't deal with your brokenness, this is what will happen. But then we come to the Apostle Paul. And, I mean, 2/3 of the New Testament was written by the guy, and he persecuted and murdered the Christians.
And did so gladly.
Gladly.
Yeah.
Why are we okay with him? Well, because he had a radical conversion. However, there was much distrust with Paul when he first came to faith.
No kidding. Yeah. You look at the guy who killed your friends, probably.
And they thought he was an undercover spy.
Yep.
Because that's what you did. You infiltrated. You acted one way so that you could get trust. And then it's like, is he going to go around house to church?
Now he knows all of our stuff.
Yep. And now he's going to go to the houses that are meeting in secret.
Wow.
But it took time. And I think this is the key. One, let's go back. I do believe there are certain sins that disqualify you from ever being a leader in a church. A servant in a church, no. But someone who people look to with authority and trust, absolutely. Pedophile is one of them. I think another one that we have to be cautious of, I do think that when we see somebody who's had an affair or abuse, and notice I separated those for a reason.
Yes.
And I would classify, and again, an affair as a pastor who has a relationship with someone outside of his church where there was no power dynamic.
Sure.
Normally when they quote unquote affairs happen, it's with somebody within the church.
And there's a power shift, there's a trust balance issue.
And so then, I'm like, let's stop calling it an affair then, because it's not an affair.
Yeah.
There was a manipulation, there was a power dynamic. Both are sin. Like that woman or that man still made a choice.
But the distinctive is important.
Very important. But let's say you have somebody who has this. Philip Yancey wrote some amazing books, some of the most formative books in my early years. I almost said I kissed dating goodbye.
Whoops.
What's so amazing about grace?
What's amazing about
What's
grace?
so amazing What's so amazing about grace? The Jesus I Never Knew. the Bible Jesus read. I mean, he wrote some amazing books. He was the editor of Christianity Today.
Oh, yeah. Popular one.
Literally just came out that he's had an 8-year affair with a woman.
Ooh.
And he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, dementia, basically a degenerative disease, and confessed it to his wife. And publicly came out, wrote a mea culpa, whole thing, like acknowledging his sin, saying, I've screwed up, I've harmed my wife, I can't believe I did this, please forgive me. There's no excuse, right? And someone made a comment to me, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was at first, I'm like, I thought his apology, his repentant letter, was very honest. And then someone said, but isn't it interesting that he only came forward as literally he's going to need to be cared for until he dies, which will be, I mean, he's in his 70s. Was he really writing the letter of repentance? Did he really confess because he wanted to or because he had to?
Is it okay if I immediately get like an icky feeling from that question?
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, there's a part of me that, would you rather he had done it at all? Like, came forward at all? That's the growth, right? To do that. I mean, maybe that was the sobering, that was the thing that said, that made him go, oh man, I might leave this world with pain that I've caused and unresolved and haven't tried to do. I don't know. So I don't know him. I couldn't tell him 2 from 2 if you put him in a crowd. But I just immediately to assume someone who throws their career, life, and this up into a fire in the form of trying to repent and reconcile and say, yeah, you probably did it for the wrong reason.
Well, so there's a couple things. There was no career because he hasn't been the editor for Christianity Today in a while.
Thought he still was.
Hasn't written any books. He canceled the speaking engagement. So I love your point because I think you're hitting on a couple things that are really important. Our natural suspicion as human beings, particularly in our current age, is to discredit or immediately find a reason why an apology or repentant isn't legitimate. That's not ours to do. The second part is we are still called to be wise. Now, what's really beautiful about this story, and it's painfully beautiful, is his wife's response. His wife wrote a letter and she said, I made a covenant, and even though he broke it, I will not. And I've forgiven him, and we're doing the work, and I love him. And regardless of whether or not he did it, because now he's going to need his wife to take care of him until he dies, which will probably be in the next several years because of this degenerative disease. Her response was humbling.
Yeah.
And this begs the question that I think is so important for us. We often, when we're the ones on the chopping block, we demand mercy. But when somebody else is, we demand justice.
Dude, that's so good. I really, really, really have been gripping with that entire concept, and in several areas of things I'm seeing and encountering with people who are close, or maybe even not so close, that I just want to love up on, is that very concept. We're so fast to put the block on the town square and sharpen the axe, man.
Yep. Unless it's for us.
No,
and
man.
then I'm pleading at the mercy of the court and the people. Show mercy, have grace. Oh, but God forgives when it's for me, but it's somebody else, and man, I'm quick. So quick.
And that's where wisdom is, of course, something you can't leave out of it because, like you said, yeah, sometimes this is a chopping block situation. But I also do kind of like, so chopping block is death, right? That person dies. I don't like that either. I don't like the concept of like cutting someone off from the church, and it's one thing when the person decides to do that, with like from pain or resentment or hurt or anything like that, or just their own sin just not being resolved, and they're like, oh, I don't need this. That's one thing, but I feel like it's a whole different thing when the other part of the body of Christ takes it and cuts them off. I don't like that. Can you maybe describe that to me a little bit too?
Yeah. So Paul actually gives us a warning and says there is a time when we're supposed to excommunicate somebody from the body of Christ.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Tell me more about that.
And I'm
also, I don't know if it's worth saying, there's a brief pause here. We've actually gone down some like pretty intense conversation. I'd also love to talk about that. I have a question about that as well.
Yeah. All right. Here it is. Here's the funny part. Like, this is a new Bible for me, and by new I mean like within the last 6 months.
Sure.
There are things like if I had my old Bible, you said turn to that, I could turn to it instantly. And this one, I'm like, where's Genesis?
Where is Genesis?
I don't even know where Genesis is. So Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians, listen to this. I wrote to you. Oh, here, look. Your brother is not good. He's talking about there's a sexually immoral. There's a son who's sleeping with his mother-in-law.
Okay.
So people are like, we need to get back to the early church. That was healthy. The early church wasn't healthy.
Still broken.
It's still broken.
Still full of people.
Okay, here it is right here. 1 Corinthians 5. It is actually reported that there is a sexual immorality among you and of a kind that even pagans do not tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
A man is sleeping with his father's wife, and you are proud. Shouldn't you rather have gone into mourning and have put out your fellowship the man who has been doing this? Kick the man out of the fellowship because he's literally having sexually affair with there's a sin. So God obviously sees some sins differently.
Well, because you said the one sin that truly affects the body is
sex.
sexual.
According to Paul.
According to Paul.
For my part, even though I am not physically present, I am with you in spirit as one who is present with you in the way. I have already passed judgment in the name of our Lord Jesus on the one who has been doing this. So when you are assembled and I am with you in spirit and the power of our Lord Jesus is present, hand this man over to Satan for the destruction of flesh, so that his spirit may be saved on the day of the Lord. Your boasting is not good. Don't you know that a little yeast leavens the whole batch of dough? Get rid of the old yeast so that you may be a new unleavened batch as you really are. For Christ, our Passover lamb, has been sacrificed. Mm-hmm. Therefore, let us keep the festival not with old bread leavened with malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. Mm. I wrote to you in my letter not to associate with sexually immoral people. Mm-hmm. Let's stop here for a second. Mm-hmm. How many people are in the church are living sexually immoral lives?
My first instinct was to say there's no way of telling.
I would say far more than we recognize.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right? So it's definitely there. How do I know that? Because how many people in our church are living together outside of marriage? Mm-hmm. And the implication is if they're living together outside of marriage, they're probably having sex.
Sure.
Not all meaning the people of this world who are immoral or the greedy and swindlers of idolatry. In that case, you must not associate with anyone who claims to be a brother or sister, but is sexually immoral or greedy, mm-hmm. an idolater or slanderer, a drunkard or swindler. Do not even eat with such people. What business is it of mine to judge those outside the church? Are you not to judge those inside? God will judge those outside. Expel the wicked person from among you.
Woof.
Okay. Now let's stop here for a second.
Yeah, I think
it's important to understand context of what's happening in the first century church and the difference now. Paul is not saying we're supposed to be the sexual immoral police where we're looking around. There's sexual immoral. Get out of the church, right? That's not.
You're a drunkard. Go.
That's not what he's saying. The real issue here is their tolerance of sin.
Right.
The other part is, and this is the danger with our church today, and I mean not Zion, I mean church in general. Can I really excommunicate somebody from church?
No.
Because they'll just go where?
Another church.
That's right. So now unless I'm calling around to all the other pastors and saying, don't let this person in, and then they're willing to listen.
Basically doing like a smear campaign.
Yes.
Dude.
And so what is the point that he's dealing with here? Well, first, you're dealing with a really broken church that has literally missed the boat on what it means to follow Jesus. They're tolerating sin.
Sure.
And they're not calling it out. Now, here's the other part. We want to focus on the sexually immoral, but he also says the greedy.
Yeah, and the drunkard.
You know how many greedy people and drunkard people I know? Wait, I thought the church was supposed to be a place for the broken.
Yes. Yeah.
So how do we reconcile those things? Because if it's supposed to be a hospital... Mm-hmm. Well, the hospital is going to be filled with sexually immoral, drunkard, greedy people. And so when somebody said to me, well, we're supposed to kick them out. And I said, well, no. But what is Paul really getting at here? The goal is, it's, okay. and I could be wrong. I want to preface this. I could be wrong. I don't have a PhD in 1 Corinthians, which, by the way, is a real thing.
Yeah, it is.
There are probably even PhD candidates that have only focused on this chapter.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, that's how intense it can be.
Yeah, it is.
How am I to treat an unbeliever?
You don't judge them. They're not they're not abiding by the same standard that we are as Christians.
Well, I do judge them.
But they're not. But they're judged. God judges
I
them.
preach the gospel.
Yeah.
I show them the love of Christ.
Okay.
I speak truth in love.
Okay.
But the key here, and I think this is the key in 1 Corinthians, the idea is fellowship within community of trust. We don't operate this way as a church anymore. They would have a love feast.
Yep.
Which was literally would be a table meal where everybody, poor and rich, would come together and they would eat at the table and everybody would bring food if you had food. Poor people didn't always have food. And you would literally be in community. And the idea is that by kicking them out, they have no place to go, so much so that they repent and come back and they realize, hey, I've screwed up. But we don't operate this way anymore.
That was actually the word I was going to throw in, is like when he's saying this, and I'm, again, also no PhD here, just listening to it as you guys are. When he's saying it, it's like kick out the drunkard, kick out the sexually immoral, kick out the greedy. It's like none of them beforehand did he put the unrepentant or the repentant greedy, the repentant so-and-so. Because that's a whole different ball game. He's saying you have not recognized what your sin has done to affect this, and you need to go. And you're saying that is the motivation.
I think that's part of it.
Sure.
I'd be curious. I kind of wish Kyle was here.
I know.
I'd love to
he'd
hear his
really,
take on
really
it.
be able to.
Because especially the ethics, his PhD was in ethics, New Testament ethics.
That's cool.
The problem that I have with the whole, we kick people out, it doesn't square with the rest of the gospel. And so I think we come down to the issue.
I'd be really shocked, actually. I think I would be really shocked. So two things come to mind as well about this with your love feast that you're saying is that requires a deep, intimate knowing of your people. And you and I literally just said, we're like, we have no idea how many people could be, in this situation.
Most house churches were 30 to 50 people.
Right. And then like even to call out sin requires you are with that person. Like I've got a couple of close brothers. I know what maybe they struggle with or areas where they ask me to step into with them, but I couldn't tell you what everyone's like going through. And so the other part that I wanted to get with this is like the separation that's taking place is like so much deeper.
Oh, it is meant to be painful.
Yeah.
It's excising something so that they can experience healing.
And then I'd be really
not
shocked.
vindictive.
No, it's not. Because then I'd be really shocked if in our modern church, if you walked up to like, if Sunday morning rolled around and you were in front of the congregation and said, okay, I'm not going to use myself as an example because I'm on staff, and the only reason I say that is because if I do something, I should be fired. Like, absolutely. But if you said, Joe Schmo from within our congregation, a member at large of our congregation, we've asked him to leave, so you might not see him around anymore. Here's what's been going on. I feel like everyone would have a huge problem with that.
Oh, so this
it's
actually
like airing dirty water. It's like not loving. It's also shocking to hear like we kicked someone out. That
I've been a part of. Actually, I've never been a part of a church that formally kicked somebody out while I was there.
Sure.
However, when I was a youth pastor, I had to remove a student.
Okay.
And I had to do it for the safety of the other people.
Yeah.
This young man, this was back in 2001, 2002. A young man made multiple of our young girls feel very unsafe.
Sure.
And he would he would touch them inappropriately. I wouldn't say sexually, just made them uncomfortable.
Boundaries.
So I was brought to my
space.
attention, and I sat down with this young man. I said, hey, here's the deal. If you're going to be here, you need to stay away from the girls. I was very honest. I said, you're making them uncomfortable. I'm not saying you're intending to. I'm going to assume the best. But you're making them uncomfortable. So I want you here. I want you here to hear the gospel. But I have to protect all the sheep, not just you.
Correct. Yeah.
And this is, I think, one of the things that's really important. My responsibility is to protect all the sheep, not the predators.
Yep.
And so there is a point where I don't think anybody would have a problem if it was very clear somebody was a predator.
Yeah.
We would kick them out, right?
Right.
So we were at an Acquire the Fire event in 2001. It was a big youth rally.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Still a cool name, by the way.
And this young man, one of the girls, high school girl, was doing, she was with some other girls and she was doing leg kick from cheerleading.
Mm-hmm.
And he grabbed her leg and held it up like this, put her in a very compromising position and didn't
Wasn't aware.
Well, I do think he was aware.
Oh, but just of the gravity of the situation.
And it was brought to my attention. I sent him home.
Yep.
And a bunch of the guys who really cared about this young man, and I cared about him too,
Mm-hmm.
literally came to me and they were upset. And I said, I'm not going to say his name just by chance that,
Yeah.
Let's call him Tommy. His name's not Tommy.
Okay.
I said, man, I've had this conversation with you 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to respect that. I have to protect those.
Mm-hmm.
You are not welcome back here.
Sure.
And I had a leader draw. Actually, I think I had his parents come and pick him up, which they were really mad about. And I'm like, that's the consequence, right?
Consequence.
Now, the young men, his
Mm-hmm.
friends, were all mad at me. Why'd you do that?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that big of a deal. Well, when I saw who the young lady was, I also understood what he did. I knew what his intentions were.
Sure. There's just calls that just have to be made when you're in a position of protecting, and it's that whole bird's eye view that not everyone has.
So now here's the interesting part.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I sat down with my young men and I said, well, who's more important to you, protecting your sisters in Christ or this young man who we've had multiple conversations? And and these are high schoolers, these are 17, 18-year-old young men. They went, oh, we get it.
So I do have a question then for you, though.
Yeah.
I am so glad that I'm actually glad they took offense. And I'm going to say because that's care.
Yep.
That's love, that they would see their brother be removed.
They wanted him to encounter Christ.
Yes.
I mean, he was searching. I mean, it was all the right things. Yes.
What was the follow-up for them?
Well,
you know what I mean?
There was no follow-up for them. It was follow-up for me.
No, I know, but did they follow up with him? Did they pursue him? Good.
Yeah, they still have.
That's this other part to it where now it's like, no, we don't. Now we don't even try to reconcile, even as where we are. Anyway.
So now, but here's the next part though. So with that young man, a couple weeks went by. I set up a time to meet with him.
Yeah.
Grabbed lunch with him with a couple other guys.
Good.
And I basically was like, "Here, do you understand why this happened? Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to come back, you are welcome, but here are the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And if you will not respect these boundaries, you are not welcome here.
Yeah.
Because God is a God of boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm. They're just talking.
But my goal is first, I have to protect the sheep. I have to protect those that I care about.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to protect him. I want to protect him from sin,
Of course.
right?
Yep.
And he ended up coming back.
Good.
And then I got fired.
different reasons.
Very different reasons. I got fired for immaturity. But the principle I think is still important is that there are some churches that will read this chapter and they go, this is how we do things. If you're this, you're out.
Yeah.
Okay, another.
Okay, well then if that's the case, I'm an adulterer, I'm a murderer, I'm
According
all
to
those
Jesus,
things. Of course.
Wait, okay, so you want to hear when it gets really icky? And this happened to me.
Sure.
So I'm 24, 23.
The church is empty.
A brother that I had led to Jesus, brand new Christian. We started going to this. It was a large college group. Again, won't say the name of the church. It was in San Diego, not here.
Okay.
I come in and they had like 400 college students at their Thursday night. It was a Thursday night college gathering. I come in and literally as I'm coming in, I was ushered immediately by leaders to this back room. And they sit back with me and they say, hey, we're aware of your sin and you are not welcome to be here tonight. We'll meet with you in a few days. That's all they said. And I'm like, what sin? What are we talking about? You know, and I'm a sinner. I'm like, I know I have sin. What sin do you think you know?
Right.
As I'm walking out, the college pastor is standing in front of all these kids saying, hey, if you see people not here, it's because they're caught in sexual immoral sins and we're honoring 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and we've asked them to leave. Everybody sees me walking out. Wait, story gets better. I'm freaking out. I'm like, what do they think they know? Like, I haven't done anything. And I'm like, literally, I'm not panicking because I'm guilty. I don't understand.
Yeah, you're spinning. What the heck?
So 3 days goes by. I go to meet with them and they say, hey, your friend so-and-so, he's gotten 2 girls pregnant. We know you brought him to church, so we're assuming you're doing the same thing. What now?
Guilty by association.
I said, and I said, what? Well, this guy, he's gotten 2 girls pregnant from the college group, and he's only been here for a couple months, and we know you brought him, so we know you're doing the same thing. I said, nope. I literally just led this dude to Jesus like a month ago.
Sure.
No. And they're like, oh, so you're not having sex and sleeping around? I said, no. Oh, okay, you're good. You can come back. So now I come back. Well, everybody saw me leave.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, heck no, man. I'm not this. What kind of cult is this? And so literally, like, this is where we have to be so careful on the judgment stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Because literally, like, not only putting the cart before the horse, but they cause damage to on a soul level. I would deem that spiritually abusive.
Oh, absolutely.
But what did they do? They took these passages because they were trying to be biblical.
Yep.
And there was no context. There was no one had accused me of anything. That was the crazy part. No one had actually said, you did this. No, there was no accusations. It was a guilt by association.
Yeah.
Now, why do I share this? Well, this was 27 years ago. 27 years ago. I still remember that night.
Yeah, dude.
And it's also affected how I pastor.
Yep.
And how I pastor is that when I confront these things, my first reaction is not how do I get somebody out? It's how do I get somebody healed?
Yes. Yeah, that's the empathy piece you're taught. You've been on the receiving end of 1 Corinthians 5.
Yes, and again, like if there was clear sin, absolutely,
Yeah.
like do it. And they told me like, no, you can come back now. We didn't know, and I'm like, but how about you not just pull somebody up? Why don't you have a conversation first, right?
This is so good.
And I think this is important because, again, it goes back to when we're the ones caught in sin, we want mercy and grace. When somebody else is caught in sin, we want justice. Let's think about how applicable this is right now in our culture. We have all these things coming out. The ICE and protesters still out in the news. We
Epstein files.
have Epstein files, right? And let's be clear, Epstein files, horrific. And evil.
Yep, we're not.
Like vomitously evil.
Grotesque.
And I was talking with somebody and they said, it seems like people are afraid to let out the truth because it could blow up the system. And they were like, well, then let's blow up the system.
It was a system that cultivated this exact.
Yes. Because
get rid of it.
Because there's the other side, which is cover up culture, which is we don't deal with sin.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And so
there's two sides of this coin.
we have to deal with sin. We cannot cover it up. We don't excuse it.
Yep. You perpetrate it if you're doing that.
And then what do you do with somebody like I do this with my kids. As your daughter gets older, you'll experience this. It is way better when your child confesses than when they get caught.
Oh my gosh, no kidding. Yeah, dude, no, seriously.
Right? And so the Epstein files are a perfect example. Why are people so freaked out? Oh my God, I can't believe this. And other people are like, are you kidding? We saw this a mile away. Like, it's only a conspiracy until it's proven true. Right? And now they're realizing like our governmental systems are corrupt.
Yeah.
But there's an overcorrection where there's an assumption, is every person who associated with Jeffrey Epstein, were they guilty of doing the same things?
No, they could have been completely unaware.
I bet you there was a majority of people who had no clue.
He was a massive businessman. He worked with countless people.
And so what our tendency is guilt by association. If you know this person, you must be guilty. And now they're all doing. No, this is, again, if real justice does not excuse sin, but it also doesn't cover up sin, but it also does not attribute to sin where sin is not happening. That is unjust. Jesus was unjustly accused.
Of course.
And so in leadership and in church, and let's bring this full circle, Carl Lentz. Carl Lentz was discovered having an affair, blew up his church, lost his ministry. Now he's famous for a different reason. And some people are like, well, he's going to make money off of his sin. Is that right? What about his victims? I'm like, that's a fair question.
That's a really fair question.
That's a very fair question. At the same point, at what point can we say that a person is able to share their brokenness and now help bring healing and restoration? Because that's the Apostle Paul's story.
Yeah. And it's also God's redemptive story, I think. He doesn't want to leave anyone in their sin and brokenness.
He desires that all would be saved.
Of course.
And so this is the wrestling for us as the church, is we have to be a safe place. I do not believe we need to be a refuge for sinners. meaning that like I can escape justice.
Sanctuary.
Yeah, like let's be clear. We're not sanctuary cities.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody is in sin, we are called to be restorers.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between a hospital and a refuge.
Mm-hmm.
We're meant to be a safe place so people can be healed,
Mm-hmm.
not so people can be excused from sin, including my own, including yours.
Which is a challenging place to be.
Yes.
Which is a good challenge.
And so what are you going to have? You're going to have sexually immoral. You're going to have greedy. The question is if they're unrepentant.
Yes.
There is a point in which I do think we have a responsibility to say, man,
or continuing to cause harm, which is part of unrepentant.
Yep. And so it's never as easy as they want it to seem. And yet I think so because there are culture today, because there are churches on every corner, it's really hard to enact church discipline. Because the truth is, if you don't like me here, I'll just go over there.
Sure. Or walk away, and that hurts.
Yep. And that's a different kind of hurt. And so how do we become a place, and this is what we've been learning in Ephesians, right? How do we become a church that literally is allowing people to experience the love of Christ, its depth, its width, its length, its height?
Yeah. While keeping things like 1 Corinthians 5 in mind.
It's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I think it's easy to just go, well, that sin is unforgivable. Or that sin means again, there are some sins that keep you from ministry, but they should not keep you from fellowship.
And define, you mean unforgivable in like the
human sense?
Yes.
Like I can't move.
Yep.
An example, someone's stolen money, right, from the church. I'm not going to let them be a bookkeeper.
Yeah. I just wanted you to say that because some people might hear like there are sins that can't be forgiven.
Yeah, no. I mean,
that's a theology.
Within the eyes of the church, there are some sins that I can forgive you, but it doesn't mean I'm going to trust you.
Right.
Right. And so if somebody has embezzled money, I don't even if it was before they were a Christian. Sure. I'm not going to let them be the treasurer.
Yeah.
I'll still let them in fellowship. But there are some leadership positions, like as a pastor, my primary responsibility is that people trust me. I have to be trustworthy. And why have so many pastors broken that? Because at some point, people, and this is something that I believe God is house cleaning in.
Okay.
We care more about people's charisma than their character.
Or talent, too.
Yeah. We care more about their competency than their character, than their Christ-likeness. And this is being exposed. I mean, we look at the stuff that's coming out with Bethel, Mike Bickle, all these guys that are being exposed where we're like, dude, why did this happen? Well, because we look at people and go, well, they're really talented. We'll just find excuses. No, we have to deal with sin. But also, man, I think we also have to be careful. I'm grateful for guys like Mike Winger. Mike Winger is the one who just did this huge expose on Sean Boltz and a bunch of false prophets. He's like, I don't want to do this, but somebody's got to call it out. Guys like Mike Winger are rare because he's not doing it because he's trying to be a theological watchdog. He's doing it because he's genuinely like, these guys are causing great harm to the church.
Yeah.
And if nobody's willing to call it out, here's the evidence. He didn't just bring an accusation, he brought evidence.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean that our job is to go around constantly looking for sin. I'm the sin keeper. Yeah. I'm the person who's pointing out everybody's sin. You know, the old joke is I'm too worried about my own sin to worry about yours.
Well, I think in fact, if it's like that's all you're doing, it's all you're going to see. And the church is so much more beautiful than that.
Yeah. And so then how do we become places of redemption? And to go back to the Apostle Paul, he warns that if you're called to restore sin, make sure that you're mature and healthy so that you're not pulled into that person's sin as well.
Yep. Stumbling block, right? That's the language he uses?
A little bit different. In this way, it's like, if I'm a recovering alcoholic, and let's say I've only been sober for a year.
I'm not going to drink in front of you.
Not even drink. I may not be the right person to go talk to that person about their alcohol problem.
Understood. Gotcha. Okay. Yep.
Because
you're too close.
I'm too close to it.
Proximity is too close.
But let's say I've been sober for 10 years and I've walked the steps and truly.
Okay, I have a question though. But what does that? Sorry, we're gonna go into some things here. What does that mean if you're walking alongside someone through those problems?
That's so walk in community.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Walk in community.
Not isolated too.
And it's not, you're not confronting from the higher position.
Yeah,
You're
it's mutuality.
That's
there.
right.
Yeah.
And so he's talking about the person who's restoring. The person who restoring is, the idea is that they're in a better position to restore.
Yeah.
So, if I'm a doctor and I'm gashing blood out, I'm probably not the right person to operate on you.
Sure. Yeah.
Same principle.
Yep.
And so again, we come back to guys like Joshua Harris. We come back to guys like Carl Lentz, Philip Yancey, Mike Guglielmucci. The list is unfortunately way too long for the number of people who've been exposed, who've done pretty broken things. How do we as a church learn from the wisdom of Corinthians, where we acknowledge that there is boundaries. There are things where we have to say that this is not acceptable, and we love you too much to let you keep on doing it, while still not being in the position of, look at how much better I am. And also being willing to, like, how vulnerable am I? There's a reason why I have multiple layers of accountability.
Yeah.
And it's not because, this is the cool part, I don't have multiple layers because I need that much accountability. I have that many layers because I'm not afraid of accountability. Like, if I'm doing something wrong, I want those closest to me that I've entrusted to call me out. And that means I actually, like, it doesn't mean I think I'm perfect.
Yeah.
It means that I'm not afraid of accountability because I'm not hiding something.
No.
And so often the people who least want accountability are the people who probably need it the most.
It's to me, I don't know, you can tear this apart if it doesn't make sense, but in my mind, as you were just describing this, it's the difference between putting something inside of a lockbox or a museum case.
Oh, say more.
So you put something inside of a lockbox to keep it safe and it's contained and it's not getting out. And you put something in a museum case because it's just something that is open.
It's precious.
Yeah, it's precious.
You want people to see it, but you want it guarded.
Yes.
Yeah, like when you have a safety deposit box, it's out of sight, out of mind. Nobody knows it. Whereas a museum piece, everybody can see it. They see it for what it is. It's valuable, and you're sharing it. Yeah, that's a good illustration. Man, this took some deep stuff, but I do think that especially in our current cultural climate right now, that's a current cultural climate.
Current cultural climate. We're conspiracying our contingencies.
Well,
we should move on.
That's my Barack Obama.
Yep.
I was just listening to Frank Caliendo. He's a comedian who does impressions. The guy's brilliant, but he was doing it.
I really admire people who can do a good impression.
Dude, yeah, well, because we both enjoy impressions.
Yeah, they're fun.
They're fun. I think the reason why this conversation is so important is because we do want to be a place that offers grace and redemption for broken people, but we also want to be a place that reminds people that we're all broken.
Yeah.
And how do we walk in mercy wisely and offer grace wisely? Because first of all, we're not God. God knows the intentions of people's hearts. We do not.
Of course.
And so we have to have a different kind of wisdom. Carl Lentz, I'm cautiously optimistic that this is with good intention.
Yeah.
Philip Yancey, I hope and pray that as he's working through stuff, if he doesn't die, that he's a prolific writer on God's grace. Mike Guglielmucci, I hope he's writing songs, a gifted songwriter. My own brokenness, my own arrogance and pride, and the things in my life that I don't want to be judged by my worst moment, but I also don't want to be defined by my best. I want to be defined by Jesus.
That's so good.
And as a culture, as we're looking, I wish we had a little bit more grace in how we approached people. And this is going back like when all the stuff was happening in Minneapolis with ICE and the protesters. I think we forget. I don't think anybody, well, hopefully, nobody woke up that day and said, I can't wait to kill somebody.
Yeah. You pray that that's not the case.
No, and there are people for sure, evil people like
Yes.
that. But I think most people, they didn't wake up saying, man, I can't wait to cause harm. Sure. Most people don't do that. And so remembering that these are human beings.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is like, that's such a, we don't go so far as to think that That you know who actually said this? And speaking of comedians and people who are in the faith and maybe not, Pete Holmes said this.
Oh.
And I really like what he said, actually. He goes, when you're like afraid of someone or you don't like someone, just remember that they go to bed at night.
Yeah.
Like they sleep the same way
same-
that
yeah.
you do. They go to bed.
With absolute trust that they're going to wake up the next day.
And so, but we that's the humanizing part that he's getting at, is just literally just remember that person is also a person, and they're not there, even just there, they that language all the time, it just separates. And so I like that perspective that just reminds us, like, we oftentimes just think someone is just inherently, infinitely, instantly evil.
Yeah. Well, and assuming we know people's thoughts, we're really quick to judge motives.
Yeah.
I don't get to judge a motive. When Lisa and I first got married, and I'll end with this, a friend of ours did marital counseling sessions with groups. And so we went, and it was a communication seminar. And he had us, he's like, I'm going to have Jason and Lisa come up. And so we're sitting next to each other, and we'd been married maybe like a year and a half, 2 years. And so the conversation came up, and at one point I said, well, I know my wife. And he stopped me and he goes, what do you mean you know your wife? I said, I know what she means by that. And he goes, no, you don't. I got really offended.
Sure.
He goes, what do you mean you know your wife? I know my wife. No, you don't. Your wife doesn't even know your wife. Like, and I'm like, no, I know my wife. He's like, no, you're assuming. You're assuming you know the motives. And that's not yours to assume, because half the time we don't even know our own motivation until after the fact.
Sure.
And so when I say, well, I know what they mean, how about we become curious?
Yes.
And I think that curiosity leads to a lot of compassion, because when I meet somebody, like if I meet somebody who's had an affair, right? Instead of immediately going into judgment, if I go into curiosity, why?
Yes.
Well, then I find out literally they've had, like, every family member's had an affair in their family.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
This is a generational thing.
There's
that
a
they're trying to escape or
I'm not
fallen into.
I'm not
Yeah,
excusing the sin. All of a sudden I'm able, like, wow, you talk about poor patterns.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do it for ourselves so much. Well, I act like this because of this, Y, and Z, but you're not willing to,
And again, I should never
or
say
it
this.
becomes ammunition sometimes too.
But if I'm curious to be able to say, what got us there? Why are we?
Yeah.
Many years ago, Lisa and I were in an argument one time, and she said something, and I said, do you talk to yourself that way? And she went, yes. And I went, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Because I realized, like, wow, that's how you talk to yourself.
Wow.
And so, like, the gospel should lead us to curiosity, not to excuse, but to understand, because who doesn't want to be understood?
Yes.
And then when somebody says, well, I refuse to change, or I justify, well, then we put up boundaries.
Yes.
The cool thing about boundaries are removable, walls are fixed. So I think, we need to have more. I'm excited for next week. We're going to answer those questions with the group.
It's going to be really good.
I don't think we're going to do hot pocket theology on that, though, because these questions are actually pretty serious.
That'll be its own thing.
We need to
plan that out.
And we need to get more questions. And I'm excited because there's some upcoming news that's going to be really exciting for a few things that are going to be happening. And we got a couple guests coming on the podcast over the next couple months.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. My only hint for you is at the end of this little episode, we were just talking about, having more grace for one another and understanding one another a little better. Oh, maybe we'll try some of that.
Yeah. The other thing, I'm going to say this. It would help us a lot. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Share it with your friends. It helps us as a podcast.
Yes.
We take seriously this platform. And we've not really pushed that. I've never pushed that, but
no.
I've been told by multiple people that this has been an encouragement in helping people in their faith and growing, and they love the perspectives. So if you made it all the way to the end, maybe we need to put that on the front end. It actually does help. Like, subscribe, share it with friends.
Yeah.
We want to help people grow in understanding that there are different positions for a reason, but we're united in our desire to follow Christ.
Amen.
So thanks for watching. Good to be back, old school.
Yeah, man.